All right, welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. You know the mission here. We dive into the sources so you don't have to. And today, we're tackling the Kansas City Chiefs, the reigning AFC champs. But the story our sources are telling, well, it's looking pretty unsettled, actually.
Yeah, definitely unsettled. We're sort of balancing two things here, aren't we? On one hand, you've got this really tough first half of their current season, like really underwhelming. And on the other, there's this prediction about a huge decision, like way off in the 2026 draft.
Right, a big gamble potentially coming down the line.
A big gamble, exactly. And our deep dive today, it's centered on this analysis by Fernando Alfaro-Donis. He's breaking down a specific 2026 NFL mock draft prediction, one from Ryan Wilson over at CBS Sports.
Okay, so our job today is to unpack that prediction. Is the risk really worth the potential reward here? It feels like we're doing a bit of a postmortem on their season right now, but also like scouting their future at the same time. So let's get into it. Is the long view bright because of this risky pick they might make? Or is the current situation just too much of a disaster to ignore?
We really have to start with just how bad things are right now. You have to set that stage. The source material we're looking at, it's very current, early November 2025, and lays out this really startling fact. If the season ended today, the Chiefs wouldn't even be in the playoffs.
Wow. The Chiefs, not in the playoffs.
The dominant team in the AFC for years, out.
And you really have to let that sink in, don't you? The analysis points to their latest loss, a big one to the Bills, and it calls that loss an exclamation mark on this underwhelming first half.
Yeah, underwhelming might even be putting it mildly.
Right. This is a team we associate with like turning it on late in the season, total dominance. And now they're defined by a losing streak. It's a total flip.
Exactly. And the knock-on effect, the big implication here.
Right.
It's huge. Patrick Mahomes, for the first time since he became the starter, is actually in danger of missing the postseason completely.
That's almost unthinkable.
It really is. Think about the shockwaves that send through the whole organization. The sources aren't just saying, oh, they're having a bad run. No, they're flagging a genuine crisis point. Like the basic expectation of playing football in January. It's just evaporated for them right now.
Evaporated. And they didn't make any moves at the trade deadline to fix it, did they?
Nope. Stood pat.
So the only tool left in the box to address this whole situation is their draft capital, their upcoming picks. And our sources highlight this. Yeah, the season's bad, but it leaves them with something valuable, their own first-round pick. It's described specifically as the, quote, ammo they need to prepare for the future.
It's like the ultimate consolation prize for failing. Right?
Yeah.
But a powerful one, definitely.
Yeah, a very powerful one.
And that's the connection, you see. Because they held on to their assets, didn't try for a quick fix at the deadline. Their focus has to shift. It pivots entirely to maximizing what they get from that first-round pick down the road.
So the current failure kind of forces their hand on the future planning.
Exactly. It dictates this high-stakes approach to the draft.
Okay, so they held firm at the deadline. Let's look at how Ryan Wilson at CBS Sports thinks they'll use that ammo. This is for the 2026 draft, remember. His mock draft came out right after the deadline passed. And he has the Chiefs picking a defensive back, a guy named Jermod McCoy.
Right. And this is where the mood shifts instantly, you know, from the current gloom to this potential moonshot pick. McCoy, he's a cornerback, plays for Tennessee. And the praise for him, it's immediate and it's strong, like really strong.
Okay, tell me about the upside.
Well, Wilson suggests McCoy, quote, could end up being the best CB in this class.
The best in the whole class.
That's what he says, which, you know, in scouting talk, that suggests a potential generational talent at corner.
Okay, wow. But there's always a but, isn't there?
There's a huge but here, a massive asterisk. McCoy is recovering from a major injury, an ACL injury back in January.
Ooh, ACL, that's serious for a corner.
Very serious. And the source makes this really clear. As of when this article was written, McCoy hadn't played a single snap all season.
Not one snap.
0 game shape for the entire year.
So let me get this straight. The team is struggling now. They need impact now. And they're predicted to use their biggest chip on a player who hasn't played in a year because of a major injury.
That's the gamble right there. That is the absolute core of the risk-reward discussion. Alfaro-Donis, in his analysis, explicitly calls picking him high with no recent tape a huge gamble.
It just seems to fly in the face of conventional wisdom, doesn't it? Especially for a team that's, like, desperate for wins right now.
You'd think they'd want someone, you know, plug and play, someone who could help Mahomes today.
Exactly. But okay, let's dig into why Wilson still rates him so highly despite that huge red flag. We need to look at the traits he's seeing, the potential.
Right. Wilson highlights some specific things that just scream high ceiling. Very technical stuff.
Like what?
Well, first off, he's described as a physical corner.
Mm.
That's always a good starting point.
Okay, physical. But lots of corners are physical. That alone doesn't make you a first rounder.
No, definitely not. But then comes the more high-level scouting language. Wilson says McCoy, quote, can play man on an island.
Man on an island. Okay, break that down for us. Why is that phrase such a big deal for a cornerback?
It's basically the ultimate compliment for a cover corner. It
Yeah.
means he's so good one-on-one that the defensive coordinator doesn't need to assign safety help over the top when he's covering someone. He's literally out there on an island, locking his guy down by himself.
Ah, okay, so it frees up other defenders.
Exactly. It frees up that safety, maybe lets you blitz more, cover the run better, double someone else. It gives the defense immense flexibility. That kind of self-sufficiency is incredibly valuable in today's NFL. Super rare, too.
Makes sense. And Wilson also said he's comfortable in zone looks, too.
All right, so versatility, not just a man-coverage specialist.
Okay, but here's the phrase that really caught my eye, the super technical one. Wilson noted very specifically that McCoy is, quote, in phase on vertical routes. Now, if you're not a scout, that sounds like jargon. What does in phase mean, and why is it so important?
Yeah, that's deep scouting talk for sure. Being in phase. It basically means perfect technique on deep balls. When a receiver runs a vertical route, a go route, down the field, an in-phase corner stays right there, hip to hip with the receiver, almost like they're attached.
So it implies speed.
Speed, absolutely, but also elite body control, hip fluidity, and the skill to track the ball in the air without losing position or panicking. If you're in phase, you're in the best possible spot to make a play on the ball, or at least prevent the catch. It's a really strong indicator of high-end coverage ability against the most dangerous routes.
Okay, got it. So technically sound, fast, versatile. What about that physicality you mentioned earlier?
Right, back to the physical corner tag. The sources also mention his willingness to tackle. It says specifically about his run support that he comes downhill looking to thump someone. I like the sound of that.
Yeah. It means he's not just about coverage. He's aggressive. He wants to hit people. He's a factor against the run. And that's actually kind of rare for guys who are that good in coverage. Sometimes they, shy away from contact.
Right, preserve themselves for the pass play.
Exactly. So McCoy, bringing both that elite coverage potential and that aggressive tackling, that's a complete package. And that combo helps you understand why someone might see him as potentially the best corner in the entire draft class, even with the injury.
So the upside is immense. A
Yeah.
potentially elite, technically sound, physical, versatile corner, huge reward. But it only pays off if he makes a full recovery from that ACL tear that cost him a whole season.
And that's the crux of it.
What's really fascinating, like you said, is just the willingness to potentially overlook an entire year of missing game film. It says a lot, doesn't it? It shows this incredible faith in his pre-injury tape and his raw potential. They're essentially betting on the traits, ignoring the massive immediate risk of re-injury, or maybe just not being the same player.
Especially for a team that, as we said, might be feeling desperate after a slump like this one.
Choosing that long-term potential over a safer, healthier contributor right now, that's a major philosophical choice for the front office.
Okay, and this is where the sources connect the dots really nicely, I think, because it points out that this kind of gamble, it's not exactly new for the Chiefs. The analysis says they are, quote, no strangers to gambling on their first-round picks.
That's a key point.
So we need to look at that history. Does their past behavior justify taking this specific risk on McCoy?
Well, the source material gives us two really good, really recent examples of this exact philosophy in action. Just look back to last season's draft. They took Josh Simmons, the offensive lineman. He came in with existing injury concerns, not an ACL, but definite flags.
Right, I remember that. There were questions about his durability.
Exactly. But they saw the upside, the potential impact, and they rolled the dice on his health anyway. Sacrifice that immediate certainty.
Okay, that's one example. What's the other?
Go back 2 years before that. Xavier Worthy. They didn't just draft him, they traded up to get him.
Worthy. The speed demon. Fastest combine time ever, right?
Record-breaking speed, an absolutely elite, measurable trait.
But the knock on him was that he wasn't a complete receiver.
Precisely. The scouting report on him leaned more towards him being a gadget guy. Someone you use in specific ways, maybe returns, not necessarily a traditional every down, polished wide receiver.
So they prioritize that one unbelievable trait, the speed, over maybe a more well-rounded prospect.
That's the pattern. They bet on the outlier trait, the world-class speed, even though it came with questions about his overall game and maybe a specialized role. It was a high-risk bet on a unique skill set.
So, okay, you put it all together. Trading up for Worthy's specialized speed, gambling on Simmons's injury history, and now, potentially, taking McCoy, who has this ceiling of maybe being the best corner in his class but hasn't played in a year. The philosophy really does seem clear, doesn't it?
It absolutely crystallizes. The Chiefs seem to consistently prioritize that super high ceiling, those elite, often measurable traits. Speed, potential shutdown corner ability.
Yeah.
They go for that, even if it means accepting significant risks.
Like injury history or maybe a player needing specific development or usage?
Right. They seem less interested in drafting safe, solid starters in the first round.
Yeah.
They're swinging for the fences. They're chasing potentially game-changing, maybe even generational talent.
And McCoy, with that best corner in the class potential, fits that mold perfectly. High risk, yes, but incredibly high reward if it pans out.
Fits it like a glove.
But let's pull back to the present one last time because the contrast is just so stark. It's the core dilemma here. You have the team struggling today, seriously struggling, risking missing the playoffs entirely, an organizational shock, as you said.
Uncharted territory for the Mahomes era.
And the prediction is they use their most valuable draft pick, that crucial 2026 first rounder, not on maybe a safe offensive lineman to help protect Mahomes now or another proven weapon, but on this massive upside gamble on a defensive player who hasn't taken a single snap all year long.
So, yeah, what does it all mean when you boil it down? The analysis really suggests the organization is sticking to its guns, sticking to that philosophy. They're aiming to lock down high-end talent for the long haul, potentially, even if it means ignoring the flashing red lights of immediate need.
They need help now, but they're drafting for 2027 and beyond.
It seems that way. Look, McCoy would definitely add talent to what's already a pretty decent defensive backfield. But making that specific choice, it hinges completely on whether the front office truly believes that potential payoff. The chance, however risky, of getting a top 5 cornerback for the next 10 years is worth more than addressing the desperate, urgent need for a guaranteed contributor today.
It really feels like a franchise crossroads moment, doesn't it? Especially when you consider their history. This clear pattern of prioritizing that elite ceiling, drafting injured guys, drafting specialized players. How much should that immediate urgent need like, hey, we might miss the playoffs, how much should that influence the calculation, especially when they might genuinely believe they're drafting someone who could be generational?
That's the million-dollar question for the GM, isn't it?
Yeah. So let's leave you with this thought. If you were in that GM chair, knowing your superstar quarterback is right in his prime years, but the team around him is faltering now and needs immediate help, do you take the safer pick? The guy who maybe isn't spectacular, but you know will step in and contribute reliably from day one? Or do you swing for the fences? Do you take the player like McCoy, the one who could be the best player taken in the entire draft, even knowing he comes with that enormous injury risk and hasn't played in a year? Safe bet or potential superstar?
Tough call. Really tough call.
That's the decision they might be facing. We'll be watching closely. We'll catch you on the next Deep Dive.